One of the biggest dangers of landing a huge account is that sometimes that account can become all your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is that most of your revenue is coming from one place. And if that happens, you end up putting your business in jeopardy. So I've got a great episode for you today. I'm talking with an amazing designer named Meghan Boehm of Meghan Bo Designs, and she is going to share with us how she went from having most of her eggs in one basket to building an omnichannel business with a strong direct-to-consumer component, selling online, and transitioning from Etsy to her own branded website. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy and the host of the Thrive by Design podcast. And I help jewelry brands and other creative brands grow their sales to multiple six figures and beyond with something I call the desired brand effect. And if you are someone who is struggling because most of your sales come from one revenue source or just a few, you're gonna love this episode because Megan's gonna talk a little bit more about how she got out of that hole. If you're watching this video right now, I'd love for you to like the video, share this with your friend if you like what you're listening to, and subscribe to our channel. All right, let's dive in to this episode. You're gonna love what Meghan has to say. I am thrilled to be here on the show with Meghan Boehm. Meghan, welcome.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am thrilled to have you because you are just doing such a great job with your business. And I wanted to just kind of share your journey and your story. You were in a momentum program last year, and you wanted to join for a lot of different reasons, which we're going to talk about here. But more importantly, the reason why I wanted to have you on the show was to talk a little bit about your journey and your reasoning for investing in maybe different kinds of revenue streams in your business, which I think is going to be a fun conversation.
I agree.
Are you good with this? Okay. So before we dive in, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your story and your journey into jewelry design.
Okay. Well, I started as a young girl. I started collecting beads when I was little and, doing it at home. So I always had an interest in it. And then, as I grew up and went to college, and that kind of got set aside. But after college and after I had kids, I started to make jewelry again. And I started out just doing it as, for fun, as kind of an outlet. And then my friends started wanting to buy it, and it kind of turned into more than a hobby. So I had an Etsy store years ago where I made purses and sold them on Etsy too. So I reopened that store, started selling my jewelry, and it was, a few pieces here and there, nothing crazy. And it just grew from there. So friends and family to Etsy. And then I started getting wholesale and, had started my own website and started selling there too. So it really turned from hobby into a part-time job within, 2 years or so.
So a part-time job within 2 years.
Yeah.
What was that transition like? Because you're doing your business full-time now. And how long ago was that? Just so we have some context.
So I started selling probably in about 2000, making it for friends and family, 2014, 2015. And then kind of towards the end of 2015 is when it started to pick up. And I saw a noticeable change in income coming in from the jewelry.
Okay, cool. And you're doing it full time now. So what was that transition like to kind of get to a place where you could actually leave the job and do all the things? And how long ago was that?
Well, so I had been working when I started doing jewelry. I was part-time because I had 2 little kids. So I worked part-time from home and then was doing jewelry on the side just for fun. And I continued that for a few more years, and I was still part-time at my corporate job that I had been with the same company for 10 years by that point. And then about 2 years ago is when I stopped working in the corporate world and started doing jewelry full time. And it was definitely a hard transition. My husband and I had talked about it for years. Like, should we? And I'm not a risk taker. So it was nerve wracking, even though I had the income coming in. At that point, it was though jewelry was starting to become much, much more than part-time.
Yeah.
So 2 part-time, jobs, it was beginning to be a lot. So it kind of perfect timing because 2019 was a great year jewelry wise for me.
So since we worked with your brand and I personally know about your brand, but I was reading your about page before this interview, and I would love for you to just kind of describe your dream client because you have it so clearly, like basically described in your about page. So let's talk about who your dream client is. I think this fun.
Yeah, I would say my dream client is someone who, might be going into an office every day, might be working at home, might be staying home with kids. I mean, it could be anybody doing that. And your jewelry you can wear in any of those situations, whether you're, working from home, whether you're going into an office or, you're running back and forth doing all of the above and picking your kids up from school. It's kind of flexible jewelry that you can wear, date nights or during the day or even, to a wedding. So it kind of, my dream client is, someone who wants to be fashionable and feel good about themselves, even if they're wearing, their workout clothes all day long. They can throw on some bracelets and instantly kind of feel better.
That's so
That's
great.
what it was for me. That's what I needed at that time of my life when I started the business. I was like, earrings make me feel put together, or a bracelet, or even just even if my hair hadn't been washed in a few days and I had 2 little babies with me all the time, I felt better about myself when I was a little bit more put together, and jewelry did that for me.
Yeah, I was reading something about like jewelry to start conversations, blah, 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 blah. So it's like they're conversation starters, but it's also about like being that busy mom, which you are. And I wanted to talk about this because you're a busy mom. And I think a lot of people go so deep in trying to figure out who their dream client is or like who their market is, when sometimes it's just like a version of who we are.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all busy in our own ways, whatever we've got going on, especially, nowadays. I feel like now that everybody's working from home, it's almost like we're juggling more, because we're at home all the time. So we see the stuff that needs to be done around here, but we also have to work and manage our kids and if they're home or not. But yeah, the jewelry is a really easy thing to just throw on when you're going out the door, even if you're not leaving the house, and makes me feel much better when I have a pair of earrings on, versus not.
Exactly. So you have a really great wholesale business. And one of the reasons you came to us in the Momentum program was because of this. And I'm not going to spill the beans why in a minute, but I'd love to know a little bit about how you went from going from selling on Etsy to landing wholesale accounts, because we were talking in the pre-interview and you're like, yeah, today we have 50 bracelets to ship like by tomorrow or whatever it is. And you're like really crushing it.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like I got really lucky with the wholesale. I had, when I first started, I was doing some trunk shows, and one of the trunk shows that I was doing had got the attention of a local boutique at the time who was online, but they also had a local store. And so they were my first wholesale customer. They reached out to me, and I started working with them, and they've grown into a huge store now. And so I've been growing with them. We started out with like every style, whatever style they chose, like, ordering a dozen or 2 dozen in quantities. And now it's in, the hundreds. So they've definitely kept me busy over the years and really started that wholesale business. And then from there, I just, whenever anybody reaches out to me, I get more information about them. If it's the right fit, I send them my wholesale information and we kind of go from there. So I've been really lucky in that way. And I think, all of my wholesale clients are great, whether I have small, nail salons, all over the US that it's a franchise. They buy my jewelry, up to a department store that I've been in the department store in the Midwest for about 2 years, and that's been growing too. So I've kind of got a diversified, accounts, and different clients and different sizes. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So it's definitely different than direct to consumer, but I love it.
Amazing. And, there was a certain time that you were selling on Etsy and you wanted to start selling outside of Etsy. Why was it important for you to actually get off of Etsy at that time?
Well, I had listened to your podcast and, it really influenced me to create my own website because, a lot of what I was reading and learning about, and that's how I learned to do everything at first, was podcasts and just researching and listening, reading blogs and things like that. Etsy owns all of your customer information. They own everything. They can shut you off with at a moment's notice, and you can't recover from that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of when I figured, okay, I need to kind of diversify my sales channels. And I, have no idea how to make a website, not my thing. So I hired someone. They helped me create a really basic website to start. And since then, I think I started my website in the beginning of 2018. I've learned how to tweak things a little bit, but I hire someone to help me when it needs anything, that's above my pay grade because I don't understand technology that well. So that's kind of what really influenced me. And then as my clients and customers started really, I think I built a really good trust on Etsy with all my reviews. And I think, consumers are savvy. They'll go and they can see where you sell your stuff and if there's different prices and discounts and things like that. So I think a lot of people started to see, okay, here's her reviews on Etsy, but her website's over here. And then people started to transition that way. So I still have an Etsy store open. It's not my first priority. So it does get a little bit of a backseat, but I still get a few sales here and there, and I still have tons of reviews. So it's just another way for people to kind of verify that I'm a legitimate business and, they're not sending their money into this black hole when they're never going to get what they ordered.
Well, I love that you said that because I feel like one of my favorite strategies for Etsy is to have it as just a passive channel where you capture leads that you can work on transferring them over to your online sales channels.
Yeah.
Your own branded website.
Right.
Which is my favorite way to utilize Etsy in this day and age. I think people mistake what I say sometimes about not to sell on Etsy. And I'm not anti-Etsy. What I'm anti is giving your power to someone else and putting your controls of your business in someone else's hands, because that over time can be really dangerous, because at any given moment, like you said earlier, Etsy can shut you down and then your business is gone. Right.
And also, getting into email marketing, all of my customers on Etsy, I don't have their email addresses that I'm allowed to use. So if you want to start email marketing too, you need your customers to buy from your website. So you can send them, updates and things like that if they opt in for that. So that was another avenue where it's okay, I need to move things over.
And over time, I think it's really important too, because that way, you're able to really build that repeat sales base, which is I'm going to use this as a segue to talk a little bit about growing your online sales. Because when you came to us, I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe right after you went full-time in your business.
Yeah.
You had a lot of wholesale accounts, but mostly all the eggs in the majority of one wholesale basket.
Yeah.
And you were worried about that kind of going away. Now you're a little bit more diversified with the wholesale. So let's talk about that. Why was that a little bit scary to you? And why did you want to start reaching customers directly online?
Well, yeah, 90%. So I think I joined Momentum it was maybe early August of 2019. So I was having a really busy year and it was great. But there was a lot of things I didn't know how to do. And I didn't really know how to get the advice to figure out how to do it. Yeah. It was beyond reading on blogs and things like that. I needed a business manager or someone who was really skilled in, I didn't even know what, just in all these different areas. Yeah. But I didn't know how to go about finding that person. In 90% of my business, that at that point was in wholesale. So, I thought, okay, if something were to happen to wholesale, I really need to grow my direct to consumer so that it's a little more balanced at least. And that was my main reason for joining Momentum.
That's awesome. And So throughout that year, you were in it. I feel like luckily you were in it during COVID because some great things happened for sales online.
Goodness,
So
right.
let's talk about what happened during the pandemic. At the beginning, I think everyone was kind of shell shocked, like what's going on here?
Yes.
So bring us through that journey of what was happening with your wholesale accounts and your online sales.
So at the beginning of COVID, January and February are always a little bit of interesting months or a little bit quieter, I feel like. So January and February were quiet. I was kind of gearing up, getting organized. I spend those kind of months, organizing and, things like that. And then as soon as COVID kind of happened in March, I did notice that wholesale had started to slow down quite a bit, but I really had been implementing what I learned in Momentum since I had joined. So when I joined in August of 19, I started implementing sending out a newsletter once a week. I set Tuesdays as my days. So every Tuesday I would send a newsletter out. And I was pretty consistent with that, August of 2019 or September of 2019 through December, January, February. And then COVID happened, and March was a little bit, maybe it was definitely quiet on wholesale, and on direct to consumer, I think it was quiet too, because people didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, like me, I was worried, okay, I'm not going to spend any money because I don't know what's going to happen with anybody's jobs or, whatnot. And then I started to see a change. April and May were like two of my biggest months. And then I think I texted you.
Yeah, you did.
May. It was Mother's Day last year. And I'm like, I don't know what is going on. Things went nuts, and it was like my best month. And then after that, it was really consistent. And so when I joined, from when I joined Momentum from the previous year, so the year that I was in it from the previous year, my online sales went up. I wrote it down, 197%.
That is crazy.
Yes. And so I really think it was like implementing the marketing strategies that you taught us. I was consistent with that. And I really had to focus on the direct to consumer because that was where I was going to make my income at that point. And I think it really saved my business last year.
It really did. I mean, I love hearing, I don't love hearing that, anything when something doesn't go right in the beginning, but at the end of the day, like you were one of the people I was cheering on so hard because you're like, look at this. I can't believe it. I'm blown away. And you were like sending me screenshots, and it was just so exciting.
Yeah.
How long did it take for your wholesale to kind of pick back up? Because I know they backed off for a while and then started placing orders again when they felt comfortable.
Yeah. 2020 was pretty quiet wholesale overall, and things really started to pick up in, I would say, January of 21.
Okay,
and
great.
So it's kind of gearing back up to what it was in 19, and I think it seems like it's going to be even stronger than 2019, which is great. So I'm really trying to, although my wholesale is picking up, I really want to stay focused also on my direct to consumer. So trying to find that balance again. So I'm almost back in the same place that I was, in 2019, where just trying to find the balance between the two.
Yeah. And we were talking before. I'm like, you need a marketing assistant. This is Definitely. Like a no-brainer hire for you right now. So I'm going to get on you for that because this is the power of, so I'm just going to walk through the journey. When Meghan came to us, she was like doing great. Like her business was good. She had really strong sales and great wholesale accounts, but she knew that having so much concentration in one place was dangerous over time, because if that account went away, I think at the time it was focused on just a few accounts, right?
Right. Yeah.
If that account went away, then she wouldn't have a business. And so she worked really hard on the direct to consumer, which is great. And now that you have both, it's time to leverage, the benefits and the resources that you're getting from that to invest in team. Yes. So that's my little coaching feedback for you.
Definitely. I mean, I have so many takeaways from Momentum, and that, is definitely another area that I'm always like, it costs me more for me to learn something than just to hire someone else to do it. They have the expertise, like with coding, even on my website, or website maintenance, things like that. Like it's much easier to hire someone who knows how to do it than for me to just try and figure everything out myself,
That's a great insight. I'm right there with you. I'm someone who definitely needs a lot of support, and I take it when I can get it, because I don't like the amount of time. I think sometimes people think, okay, this is going to cost me something, instead of thinking like of the cost reward benefit. Like, sure, there's going to be an investment there, but how much more money can you make? Or where does this free your time up to do other things that you enjoy doing? We're consulting for a company right now that it's $1 million fine jewelry company, $1 million plus. And this person is trying to like bring on team, because she's designing fine jewelry. And it's always a struggle to like that at that first moment to like let go and like hand over things to someone else. But when you do it right, it ends up being like so liberating. So I'm really proud of you, because you now have people making your jewelry and helping you. I'm going to follow up with you and make sure you hire this marketing assistant.
I know. I need that marketing assistant.
So is there anything that you want to share about the last couple of years in your journey from Etsy to selling online or selling wholesale and online that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah. I mean, I just think, there's so many people out there that ask, how did you do it? Or, and it's like, I figured out in the beginning, what to do. And I wish that I had known about Flourish and Thrive when I was first starting out, because it would have made my life a lot easier to start with laying the foundation.
Yeah.
I just kind of bootstrapped it, figured it out, and worked really hard. And it was something that I was really passionate about. And I think, I tell my kids this all the time, like, I never thought that people say, do something that you love, you'll enjoy it so much more. And I always thought, okay, work is work. Like, I want to do something where I'm making a lot of money to live the life that I want to live. And then when I started my own business, I realized you can have a job that you really like, that you're really passionate about. And it makes a huge difference, because I worked in the corporate world for, almost 20 years and had good bosses, good jobs, bad jobs, and I think that if there's something out there that you're passionate about doing and you want to start your own business, you start exploring that idea. Don't be scared, and try it and see what happens.
That's amazing. Well, Meghan, thank you so much for being here today. Where can everyone find you?
So I am at meghanbodesigns.com and on Instagram at Meghan Bo Designs.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Wasn't that great? Meghan's story is so inspirational. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, make sure that you like this video, comment below and share with us your big takeaway, and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. And one more thing, if you'd like to get results like Meghan and you'd like to build a 6 or multiple 6-figure revenue stream using your branded website as a direct-to-consumer sales tool, we would love to help you. Enrollment is open right now for the Momentum program over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. Momentum is our 1-year program that is designed to help you grow your sales online to multiple 6 figures and beyond using our Desire Brand Effect methodology. It is focused around individualized coaching, strategic planning, and so much more. We really work with you to get inside your business and dive into the details to find some of the gaps and the things that you can't see, because as we say over here, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes when we're working in a silo, it's hard to see why we're so overwhelmed with what's happening, because we've designed this program to help you grow your business with ease and grace. So if you'd like to learn more about Momentum, or to check out what other designers are doing like Meghan and how they've grown their business, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/momentum. Check out all the success stories over there. And if it sounds good, apply for the program today. This is Tracy Matthews signing off. Until next time.
So I've learned a lot about getting people on my list, especially since I have this kind of captive audience all summer. So now I'm collecting emails every chance I can get. I've doubled or tripled my email list, I think, since I started.
I would recommend Momentum to anyone who is starting an online business. If you want to increase your sales and grow your sales and get some really expertise coaching in defined areas, momentum is, what you should be doing. It helped me and grew my sales, almost 200% in the year that I was part of Momentum.
Before I started Momentum, I was really in a place where I knew I could grow my business, but I didn't really know how to grow my business. And I was at this point where it's like, do I do wholesale? Do I hire a PR company and like try and get my stuff on celebrities? Do I, do all these different things and I do a bunch of shows? Like I just had no idea. And I really wanted to tailor my business to something that suited me and what I really like to do, which is design. It was really the perfect program for people who want to sell their products in a digital space and direct to consumer. And so all the different things that I had learned, I was able to put together and help to grow my business in a way that was both organic, but also in my true fashion.